look at ransomware as a great example because it's easily referenceable, right? So if you look at where we detect that initial compromise and we're able to contain it early on in the process, of course logically you're going to stop the attack. But if your detection capability is slightly less sophisticated, or you don't have the right resources, or the attacker has managed to circumvent those controls you have in place, we're now talking about much larger impact. For example, inhibiting your ability to recover. If we manage to look at our backups and our recovery mechanisms, and we have alerts around those, and we're able to see changes to those, or something happening, we can stop that straight away. Fantastic.
An MDR solution is really defined also by policies, procedures, roles, responsibilities, because that will enable you to, let's look at the MDR in itself is there to enable an organisation to make decisions on how to respond. And to do that, you've got to be able to detect, and you've got to be able to have the capabilities to monitor. And as long as you can respond and know how to respond in certain circumstances, that's the value of the service.
Because you may be able to detect unauthorised activity. You may have endpoint detection and response. You may have a anti-malware, you may have some form of smart monitoring, you may have an intrusion detection system, so you probably can detect unauthorised activity. But then do you have the capability to be able to accurately classify those detection results, to actually say this isn't a false positive, or this is this particular group here, or this is a particular activity that was led from this particular point of origin, so we're seeing it a lot further down the attack path, and actually we're seeing a later stage attack here, which is kind of concerning, right?
We know there's two types. There's post-incident response, there's pre-incident response. If you look at the investment made by organisations in that part of technology or service, a vast majority of it is in the pre-incident response preparedness, because if that's okay, then that mitigates risk, but obviously puts you in a really strong position to try to get it under control. An MDR solution is not just an MDR solution. When you look at it holistically in terms of the effectiveness and value of that service, it has to have the processes at the start, the procedures, and you have to define, and you have to train and develop, and you have to enable the organisation to test and make sure that when the alarm does go off, everyone knows where to stand, where to go, who's reporting, what the line of communication is, how do you document all the information, and then ultimately right through to incident response, because the incident response preparedness side of it is ensuring that you know how to respond in those circumstances, and put all of those three components together. And actually, when you talk about MDR, really what we're saying is that all of those components should be included in that solution.
Absolutely, 100%.